All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most powerful and frankly challenging ideas from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. We're talking about Law 25, recreate yourself. This is a law that really messes with the whole idea of a fixed identity. It argues that yourself isn't something you just find, it's something you have to consciously build.
Right off the bat, the law gives you a command. It's a flat-out rejection of the idea that you're stuck with the labels people give you. I mean, think about it. From the second we're born, our parents, our friends, society, they're all trying to put us in a box, to give us a role to play. And this law says accepting that role, that's the trap. So, what do you do if you're supposed to refuse the part that everyone else has written for you? How do you actually take control? How do you stop being just another character in someone else's story and become the one writing the script? Well, that's the exact problem Law 25 is designed to solve.
And the solution it offers is pretty radical. This isn't about making a few small tweaks to your personality here and there. Nope. This is about a complete demolition of the old you so you can consciously forge you a new one. It's a total act of self-creation.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Notice the direct link it makes between power and performance. It's not enough to just be smart or capable, you have to look the part. The law says you have to forge a whole new identity, one that's built from the ground up to grab people's attention. And maybe, most importantly, you can't be boring. It's really about becoming the showman of your own life.
You know who understood this perfectly? The 18th century adventurer Casanova. He said the ideal person of power is a Proteus. Now, that's a reference to a Greek sea god who could change his shape into anything he wanted so you could never capture him. And that's the key metaphor here. To be truly powerful, you have to be fluid, adaptable, and ultimately impossible to pin down. To really see this in action, let's look at one of the greatest performers in all of history, Julius Caesar. He might have been the first public figure to truly get that power and theater are the same thing. He knew that politics was just a big stage, and he was determined to be the star of the show.
I mean, look at his career. It was all about spectacle. Early on, he spent a fortune on these insane public games, so everyone would associate his name with a good time. Then, at that critical moment, crossing the Rubicon, he didn't just give a boring military briefing. No way. He delivered this epic, dramatic speech that turned a strategic decision into a moment of destiny. Even in death, he was performing, pulling his gown over his face to make sure his final act was one of dignity and drama.
So you see, the point is, Caesar's power wasn't just in his armies. It was theatrical. He used surprise, big symbolic gestures, and he always made himself the center of the story. He made damn sure he was never, ever upstaged. The image he created was larger than life, and that was the point.
Okay, now let's jump from ancient Rome all the way to 19th century Paris for a totally different kind of example. In the 1830s, this young woman named Aurore Dupont du Devant comes to the city. Her dream is to be a writer, but the society she lived in had a very, very small box for her to fit into.
And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, that's the role they tried to force on her. A little hobbyist, writing for other ladies, supported by her husband. But on the right, that's the character she built, George Sand. She took a man's name, wore men's clothes, smoked cigars, and just dominated every room she was in, becoming this force of nature in a world that was designed to ignore her.
Now, here's the key thing to get. This wasn't about her wanting to be a man. The George Sand persona was a strategic move. It was a costume she could put on that gave her access and freedom. It was a tool that let her navigate a hostile world and gave her a kind of power that society absolutely denied her as Aurore Dupin. It was a deliberate, brilliant act of recreation.
Okay, so we've seen the history, but how do we actually apply this? The law treats this whole thing like an art project. You're the sculptor, and the clay you're working with is your own personality, your own public image.
And it really breaks down into two fundamental steps. First, you have to wake up and realize that you're an actor on a social stage. And second, once you know that, you have to consciously create a compelling role for yourself to play.
So step one is all about control. The world isn't really the place for raw, unfiltered emotion all the time. I mean, we all know people who wear their heart on their sleeve, and honestly, it can be kind of exhausting. Good actors and powerful people, they know how to control their emotions. They project the feeling that the moment needs, whether they're actually feeling it inside or not.
So once you've got that self-control, then you get to the fun part, creating a character that people remember. Look at Abraham Lincoln. He totally leaned into his image as this common, homespun guy from the frontier. The simple clothes, the beard, it was all part of a carefully crafted persona. It was a role America had never seen in a president before, and it turned him into an icon.
And you can build this character with a whole repertoire of dramatic techniques. You can use suspense, making people wait. You can use a beau geste, a beautiful, symbolic gesture, like Caesar at the Rubicon. Master your entrances and your exits. Even just being perfectly still can be an incredibly powerful way to command a room.
So this brings us right back to the central idea. Like it or not, your life is unfolding on a kind of social stage. The only real question is, are you controlling your own performance?
The ultimate goal of this law, the ideal, is to be protean. To be like that sea god we talked about, the one who couldn't be caught because he was always changing. That's the peak of this kind of power. To be so fluid, so adaptable, that no one can ever really define you, predict what you'll do, or control you. The 17th century philosopher Balthazar Gracian just nailed it with this quote. The ability to adapt your mask to the situation, to mirror the person you're talking to, that's the real art of winning people over. It's not about being fake, it's about being strategically adaptable. And so, I'll leave you with this question. If your life is a performance, and it is, who's the director? Is it your parents, your boss, your friends, or is it you? Law 25 is really a challenge, to grab the pen from everyone else and finally start writing your own script.